Hey everyone, my name is Chisholm Allen Lundy. I am a law student here at the University of Alabama, and I went to undergrad here as well. I have known Cokie Thompson for going on 10 years now, pretty much a full decade. We went to high school together. We're both from Memphis, Germantown specifically, as Cokie will tell you. And obviously we went through high school and college and even graduate school at the university here as well. Cokie is one of the most, if not the most, intentional people I have ever met. She does everything knowing the purpose for which she's doing it. She knows what she wants to get out of every situation, and it always has to do with making people's lives better. This university, when it's at its best, is because of people like Cokie, and when it's at its worst, it's in spite of people like Cokie trying to make it better. I can't imagine what this university is going to be like without Cokie, but they're going to have some pretty big shoes to fill. So without further ado, please welcome to the stage Cokie Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cokie Thompson, and I'm here to talk to you about making ourselves at home. And thank you, Chisholm, for your kind words. I certainly wouldn't be at home here without you. In exactly 7 days, almost to the minute, I'll be graduating with my Master of Arts in Higher Education Administration. I studied journalism here as an undergraduate student, so this won't be the first time I'm walking across the stage at Coleman Coliseum, but here's to hoping I don't drop my diploma this time. I also am a community director over Ridgecrest East and West, where I lived as a first-year student. So it's a nice full circle moment, beginning and ending my time in that residence hall. But before I came to the University of Alabama, I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. I went to Houston High School in Germantown with Chisholm and many others. But before that, I went to Harding Academy. I went to the Little Harding location on Cherry Road, and then Harding Academy White Station on Colonial, and then Highland Street, and then back to White Station, and then back to Cherry Road. I lived in East Memphis, and Germantown, and Collierville, and Midtown. 10 houses, 2 families, but who's counting? When I turned 4, I had a Blue's Clues themed birthday party at the Children's Museum of Memphis, complete with paw print cake and pink striped polo. Growing up in school, I went to field trips to Beale Street and the National Civil Rights Museum and the Pink Palace. And growing up, my mother never gave up an opportunity to teach my siblings and I what it meant to be in and from the city of Memphis. If you ask me, the best meal in town is anything from Central Barbecue, followed by anything from Muddy's Bake Shop, and then half a dozen donuts from Gibson's if you've got room. I tell you these things because they're a part of me, but also because my connection to my capital H home and the way my mother explicitly and implicitly taught me that that connection mattered are at the root of my revolutionary idea. I believe home is what you make it, but home is also what we make it for each other. Now, in any conversation, but especially a conversation about roots, it's important to acknowledge whose roots run deeper than ours. The land that we know to be the University of Alabama campus is the ancestral home of many tribes of the Creek Nation. Now, it's important that I acknowledge the painful history of colonialism and genocide on the part of my ancestors in this process, but I also want to make sure you know that not all members of the Creek Nation were removed from this land. The Porch Band of Creek Indians has lived in and around their reservation in what we know to be South Alabama for almost 200 years. The Porch Band of Creek Indians is a sovereign nation with its own system of government. Now, I wish that I had more to tell you. I wish that I could tell you the best way for you to support the Creek Nation, but I'm a white woman, and my complicity in white supremacy has made it easy to prioritize other things in the last 6 years I've been here. But I want to change that. You can learn more about the Porch Band of Creek Indians at their website, and you can learn more about all land in what we know to be the United States at this website, nativeland.ca. When I came to the University of Alabama, I had an unusual bucket list. I wanted my picture to be taken for Honors College recruitment mailers, and I wanted a gold name tag. I didn't just want these trophies for my fridge and to hang on my wall, although if you've been in my apartment recently, you know exactly where I keep this photo. I wanted these things because The students who I saw in my recruitment mailers as a prospective students were here on campus. They were running an honors college assembly and student organizations I wanted to be involved in, and they were always doing it wearing gold name tags. I wanted to create that kind of change and to develop the skills that I saw in them. A few more things got added to the list over time, like participating in the Blackburn Institute and giving a Tide Talk. Some things got added to the list after I did them, like sneaking into the stadium on Honors Day. But I'm happy to report that after tonight, I did everything on my list. I even got 3 gold name tags. But let me be clear, it wasn't always easy. The first thing I did when I got on campus was join the business team of Mosaic, the Honors College magazine. It made perfect sense. I was a journalism major and I wanted to be involved in the Honors College, but I didn't find my forever home with that group and learned a lot of things, but stopped participating after a year. One of the other things I tried was a brand new student organization at the time, Professional Women in Communication and Business, which I participated in for the next 3 years until December 2016. I spent a bunch of that time as president of that organization, but even in all that time and with some of my dearest friends in the organization with me, I still didn't find my home there. When I got to graduate school, I had to do it all over again, even though I'd made many friends as a junior and senior and experienced some isolating and joyous times then. I had to start over when I got here. I had to find new places to study, new places to spend my Thursday nights, and new people to sit with at football games. This picture on the left was taken at the very first home game of the 2017 season. I had been looking forward to that moment all summer. I had expected it to be a moment of victory and joy that I was finally back home. But I cried a lot that day, actually, most vividly during Sweet Home Alabama, because home didn't feel like home anymore. But through the course of that season and my entire graduate career, I found a home again. And this picture on the left was taken at the very last, or on the right, sorry, at the very last home game of the season. And it's one of my favorite pictures of myself because I had found a home again. When I moved to Sewanee, Tennessee last summer for my internship, I had to find a home for myself yet again. I had my laptop and an internet connection, but not much else. Some days, not even a cell signal. When I wasn't at work, I didn't see very many people, so I had to construct my days in a restorative way that would fuel me for the things I was doing at work and at home. Some days, this meant driving 3 hours round trip to go to a bookstore in Nashville. Home was what I made it. But let me be clear, I was able to make a home for myself in many of those ways because of my power and privilege. As an undergraduate student, I was able to pursue involvement opportunities that didn't pay me or demanded a lot of my time because I could afford to give those things to them. Last summer in Sewanee, I could make that trip to Nashville because I had a car and because my internship paid me so I could spend the money on gas and many, many books that I bought. Home is also what we make it for each other. College researchers in higher education and student affairs examine how students build home all the time. We call it sense of belonging. They examine sense of belonging for all different kinds of students: transfer students, commuter students, queer students, students of color. And Dr. Terrell Strayhorn wrote a whole book about it, and this is how he defines sense of belonging. In terms of college, sense of belonging refers to students' perceived social support on campus, a feeling or sensation of connectedness, and the experience of mattering or feeling cared about, accepted, respected, valued by, and important to the campus community or others on campus, such as faculty, staff, and peers. Now, unless you are a white man who's the son of a plantation owner or training to be in a military force that wants to overthrow the United States government, this campus probably wasn't built for you. Over time, it may have been adapted for you, but it was probably never created to welcome you. That's why counter spaces are important. Spaces like the Safe Zone Lounge and the Intercultural Diversity Center are vital for students who don't feel safe or welcome on the quad or Greek houses or in the library or sometimes in their own dorm rooms. The Intercultural Diversity Center is a space that was created by students to find a home for themselves when people like me, college administrators, didn't do a good job of making a home for them. One of my phenomenal professors, Dr. Steve D. Mobley Jr., does a lot of research on the experiences of queer men at historically Black colleges and universities. Most notably, he looked at the Morehouse College appropriate attire policy, which, among other things, explicitly banned women's clothing, students wearing women's clothing on the Morehouse campus and at Morehouse events. While students were included in that campus for their Black identity, they were excluded for their gender expression. This happens everywhere. Physical spaces are important, like those counter spaces I mentioned in historically Black colleges and universities and other minority-serving institutions, but policies and procedures are important as well. This is often how we codify our patriarchal white supremacy in the rules we create about how we're supposed to behave in those spaces. Home is what we make it, but home is also what we make it for each other. So how do we make home? If you're a first-year student or someone who doesn't feel like they found their home here, you can keep going, keep trying. You will have to get up and leave your dorm room, as my lovely RAs will encourage you to do. And you'll have to try lots of new things. I encourage you to attend an athletic event that's not football or men's basketball. Our softball team is pretty good. Our wheelchair basketball team just won 2 national championships. Our growing team is ranked for the first time ever. That's awesome. If athletics aren't your thing, go hang out downtown on a first Friday night. There are art galleries and restaurants that are open just so we can all hang out downtown together. If performance art is where you want to go to University of Alabama Theater and Dance Production. What better way to engage in your campus community than by experiencing the magic of performance art while supporting your fellow students? If you're really at a loss of what to try, contact the Office of First Year Experience or Student Involvement. Or if you live on campus, talk to your RA. It's literally their job to make sure that you find a home on campus and are aware of all your resources. And lastly, trust the process, as Coach Saban says. This is probably going to be hard. It's probably going to take more than 1 or 2 or 3 tries. And like I did, even after you find a home here, things may change and you have to do it all over again. But you will do it. Just trust. If you found a home here, I encourage you to think about who is welcome in your home. The next time your pledge class or ambassador team goes out for lunch, think about who shows up. Who's missing? Are they missing because you didn't invite them? You should invite them next time. Maybe you did invite them. Did you create conditions that are where it's safe and welcome for them to accept that invitation? Because if not, that's on you. If you haven't spent any time on Malone Hood Plaza looking at the doors that Vivian Malone and James Hood walked through so that many Black students could find a home on this campus, I encourage you to do so. When I'm having trouble thinking about who and where I am clearly, I make a ritual visit to this place and look at the plaques that are all around the Arthur and Lucy Clock Tower. There are words from Vivian Malone and James Hood and Arthur and Lucy Foster and a note about some degrees they have. But one that has always stuck out to me is the words from Vivian Malone. She tells us that there will come a time in our lives when we must act for others. We must be bold, have courage, and walk through a door that leads to opportunity for others. I've found a home here, and it's my sincere hope that all of you in this room are able to do that too. Home is what you make it, but home is also what we make it for each other. Healthy communities on college campuses and beyond require that we engage, but that we also create conditions that make others welcome to engage. I hope to spend the rest of my career in higher education and student affairs, helping people find a home on college campuses. Will you join me?